No game is perfect, and Modern Combat 4 is no exception. And even though Modern Combat 4 it is a great game in its own respect, it does have multitudes of different problems. And even though there's normal problems such as hackers or bugs, those are unavoidable problems. However, I'm gonna be talking about the top 5 biggest mistakes that the Gameloft developers made with Modern Combat 4. These are all easily fixable mistakes that they consciously chose because they thought it was a good idea or for whatever reason. So anyways, I want to first thank Frostcope for sending me this gameplay, and sorry if my voice is a little weird. I'm trying to keep the volume down, have the microphone really close to my mouth right now so you guys can hear me a little more clearly. But Frostcope, he's a beastly player. He also has his own YouTube channel. I'll have it in the annotation and in the description below. So check him out, and he's a really good player. He's a really cool guy. He's been supporting my channel for a really long time. I really do appreciate that he actually sends me this gameplay. So you can do the same thing as well. Just post in the comment section, send me a PM, whatever, of just upload it on YouTube and then tell me to give me permission to download it, and I'll download it and I'll use it on my channel and commentate over it. So anyways, I'm gonna be talking about the 5 biggest mistakes that Gameloft made with Modern Combat 4. And in another video I'll be talking about the top 5 biggest success, top biggest contributions the Gameloft developers made. But for right now, let's get on to it because I only have a limited time to talk. I only have the 10-minute gameplay. So anyways, first mistake is that there was too many attachments, and you may call me crazy because there's something as too many of something inside a game. And the biggest problem with so many attachments is that the attachments, first of all, they're not very particularly useful other than negating a weakness of a gun, and that may sound really obvious. However, it causes a lot of weapon balance issues. For example, the Charp Tech. The Charp Tech would be a perfectly balanced weapon if it wasn't for the attachments. The biggest problem with the Charp Tech right now is not the weapon itself, because the recoil is just absolutely horrendous. The biggest problem is that you can use 3 different attachments or 4 different attachments just to negate the recoil. So basically you eliminate its one and only weakness, making it an incredibly powerful weapon. This a more extreme example is the Compact. Compact's biggest problem is its accuracy and its recoil at medium range. If you look at XSC Joker's classes, all of his attachments are just geared towards better accuracy, every single one of them. And what ends up happening is that because you're able to increase your accuracy to a point that you completely negate your gun's weakness, all of a sudden the Compact becomes really powerful because his one and only weakness was completely negated because you have so many different attachments to choose from, and you can all use those attachments completely to solve one goal. I think the attachments originally were meant to make a gun more varied, so you can have a gun to your own playstyle. However, no one uses it like that. The player base will abuse every single game mechanic there is if given a chance, and the problem with having too many attachments is that every single player just uses it to make guns overpowered. So just use a Modern Combat 3 system. Modern Combat 3 system, I think the attachment system in Modern Combat 3 was near perfect. You only had 2 attachments, however each one of them made a significant difference, however not significant enough that you can completely negate a weakness. For example, the KT-44 in Modern Combat 3 had absolutely terrible recoil. You can add an attachment to reduce the recoil, but the recoil is still there. You can completely negate the weakness of a gun just through the attachments like you can in Modern Combat 4. So anyways, the second biggest thing that they messed up in is they didn't nerf the Compact in the Meltdown update. Even without the attachments, the Compact is inherently a very powerful gun. It's not powerful because it has no weaknesses. The biggest problem is that its one and only weakness, which is its accuracy, is completely negated by attachments, and also its quote unquote another weakness it has, quote unquote weakness, is its range, but that's not really that much of a weakness since it's the most negligible stat of the game. Range is having good range on a gun means almost nothing in Modern Combat 4 since almost everything is hipfire battle or is close range battle. So it pretty much has all the great aspects to become a very overpowered gun, such as it has an incredible hipfire potential with very fast fire rate, good reload speed, huge magazine size, very fast fire rate, very good hip fire accuracy at close range. I mean, overall it's just a perfect gun in every single regard, and if you add the attachment to increase accuracy to absurd levels that you can pretty much hip fire at medium range, then you're looking at an incredibly overpowered weapon. And they should have nerfed the Compact along with the Charp Tech with the Meltdown update. Had they done this, weapon balance would have been greatly fixed, and not saying it'll be perfect, but it wouldn't be the terrible weapon balance you see right now. I mean, if you don't believe weapon balance is pretty shit right now, just go to any competitive Modern Combat 4 match and tell me what weapon they're all using. if they're in a clan battle, almost all of them are all using the compact, because the compact simply outperforms every other gun, period. So anyways, the next biggest problem is that they added way too many explosives, and this is a very general statement, but let's look at this. They have 2 different noob tubes, they have 6 different grenades, and all of it was just meant to show off the ragdoll effect. Ultimately, they just wanted to show off the ragdoll effect. However, the biggest problem is that because they so desperately added so many explosives so we can see a game mechanic that doesn't even affect combat, we were stuck with a game which is so focused on throwing grenades and spawn trapping, ultimately explosive trapping. And I don't mind regular spawn trapping, except because regular spawn trapping took some amount of skill to do. With spawn trapping with explosives, it's just literally firing rockets at the enemy spawn. It takes absolutely no skill, and also hurts the player base, because a lot of these newer players, they don't have any incentive to play the game legitly. Because what's the point of playing the game legitly when you could just buy a rocket launcher at a very low rank, and then you can pretty much just own everyone with a rocket launcher, which it's a lot easier to aim with. It gives them no incentive to improve. And speaking of that, let's go on to speaking of newer players. Let's go on to the next biggest problem with Modern Combat 4 that developers screwed up in. It is that this is the prestige system, and it's a currency system. More than anything, the currency system right now. The currency system, it sounds good on paper in the short run, because it allows players to buy the gun that they want a lot earlier. They don't need to go through so many ranks to get it. But the biggest problem with that is that a lot of these newer players, they just end up buying the best gun, and then they don't have any incentive to explore anymore. As of now, I bought the compact, I bought the Chartic, I bought the Eufia, bought a few of the other guns, but I don't need to buy any of the secondaries. Why should I buy the secondaries? It cost me a crap ton of currency, and you can already see that I don't have any incentive to explore. I don't have any incentive to try out new classes, because I can really unlock all the best classes. In Modern Combat 3, because because guns were so hard to unlock, every time you unlocked a new gun, you use it automatically. You wanted to try it out. You had an incentive to get better with every single gun you have. You have an incentive to try out new guns. In Modern Combat 4, you don't. And also, the biggest problem with this is that it kills the longevity of the game. One of the biggest rewards in Modern Combat 3 was getting the throwing knife. One of the biggest rewards in Modern Combat 2 was getting the golden AK. And you would spend hundreds, it took easily 100 hours, 150 hours to get the throwing knife in Modern Combat 3. It took easily 200 hours to get the golden AK. And those were motivations that motivated, those were things that motivated people to continue playing. And Modern Combat 4 ultimately does not have that, since you can unlock all the best stuff at the very beginning of the game. So it pretty much kills the longevity of the game, and it doesn't give much incentive. It doesn't feel like you're earning anything in Modern Combat 4. So anyways, and finally, finally the last problem I want to talk about, and something that I don't think a lot of people brushed on, is the UI. The user interface is very, very smooth, it's very polished. The biggest problem is it's slow and it's buggy. If you don't believe me, go to an unranked match, and half of the unranked matches are bugged. Meaning that what ends up happening is that if the host leaves while you're restarting a game, what ends up happening is that the game automatically restarts the match over and over and over and over again. It starts an infinite loop, so the game never starts. However, a problem with this is that it shows up in the unranked lobby, so you can join this bugged match, and then you have to leave the lobby again. And it may not sound like a big deal, but you have to keep in mind, because the user interface and the connection is so slow, it takes like 3 to 4 minutes just to to log in and just to look for a game. In Modern Combat 2, it took about 30 seconds max. 30 seconds max. Modern Combat 3, it took about a minute max. In Modern Combat 4, it took about 2 or 3 minutes, and even though it may not seem like much, you're probably spending more than half your time looking for a game. Not even playing the game, just looking for the game. You're going to be spending more than half your time looking for the game, and that just kind of defeats the whole purpose of an FPS game, of an action game in the first place, when you're spending more than half the time finding glitched lobbies, or spending more than half your time in the loading screen, finding new lobbies, finding lobbies that aren't empty. Overall, the user interface and the matchmaking system is ultimately flawed, because you don't get inside full lobbies. And then you don't get to full lobbies, and a lot of the matches, they're bugged, so it unevenly distributes a lot of the players. So ultimately, Modern Combat 4, it's a good game in its own respect. However, I don't think it was a game that a lot of us veteran players expected. If this is your first Modern Combat game, I'm sure you'll love it. just because it's your first game. But I mean, overall, the experience wasn't what we wanted, and these are the top 5 reasons and top 5 avoidable reasons why Modern Combat 4 ultimately disappointed me and I believe a lot of other players. That being said, once again, thanks to Frostscope for this gameplay. You can post in the comment section below. Just post a link of your YouTube video you want me to use for the next video or for whatever video you want, and whatever video Modern Combat 4 video I'll commentate over. And rate, comment, subscribe if you like this video, and I'll shortly have another video of the top 5 biggest contributions the Gameloft developers made, the top 5 things they got right. So anyways, once again, Pohdoh here, rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later.